want to give you some tips for working, I'll go through these pretty quickly, but some tips for working with the IT industry, just based on my opinion and my experience. Firstly, the better the requirements, the faster that the better the price that you'll get. So the activities we did up front, you generally get better pricing when you give people requirements because they're putting in less risk margin. Do not send out an email to 20 software companies with a request for quote. You will be shocked how bad the response will be. Instead, have a look at their website and ring a bunch of them up and just go and see 3 or 4 of them and find people because they don't want to. I get a blind email, I've got no idea how many other people it went to. Your motivation to respond is typically pretty low. You want to talk to people, you'll get a better response. Pick your provider based on their focus. If you say to a firm, Alliance Software's got 20 staff of which over half are engineers. Clearly we're a software engineering firm. There are firms that I know of that will say they do software development, but you know, when you look at it, they might have 15 graphic designers. They're clearly going to be good at graphic design because they've got a lot of graphic designers. You want to pick firms that their primary focus is what you're using them for. And you can refine over time. I think this is one where people get stuck is we think that custom software, the beauty of custom software is we can evolve. We want to get incremental stuff out and be prepared to work up over time. I like giving people early guesses to prices on projects as long as they don't hold me to them. And I say that quite seriously because you'll often have a conversation and after 2 hours I say, what do you think it costs? And I go, oh, I think it's somewhere between 50 and 100 grand. And that's a really good number to get because if they actually had in their mind, well, I'm probably going to spend 150 on this thing, we're fine. If they had in their mind that they're going to spend 15, we've got a problem. So the early guess is good, but it's a guess. And it takes some time to pull stuff apart and get numbers. And you're going to pay for some custom software upkeep. The reason you're going to pay is not because the industry is trying to gouge you, but things change. What worked with a small set of data might have challenges with large sets of data. Browsers change, server operating systems change. The industry moves, then there will be a degree of maintenance in what you do. I think this is really important. The more complex your project, the closer you need to work with your developers. Scott's going to talk about working offshore, and it's a principle that comes out in that space. The more complex you're doing, we like to get our clients to come and sit in our offices if they can. The harder it is, the better it is to work closely. And consider whether you need a long-term engagement. There are some firms, and I know the owners, and they are good firms doing good work. Their speciality is putting lots of people on big projects and smashing them out quick. That's what they're good at. Alliance Software is actually the opposite of that, as in we have long-term clients and so we sometimes struggle to put a whole bunch of people onto one project. But those firms, I've talked to the owners, I say to them, what do you do about maintenance? And they go, if at all possible, we don't do it. We hand the project over. And so think about whether you want the big bang or whether you want the long term. Identifying risks. If you look at the spectrum of a project, typically 90% of your project is easy to do, it just takes time. And 10% of your project will be hard. And often people want the price on the hard bit up front, and what you'd be better off to do is to say, and we don't know, because until we get into it, it's actually, there is an element of risk, and so you can do this thing called a spike. I was introduced to the concept by someone in the room, to the phrase. A spike is where you go and touch something really quickly, and we just do a quick prototype. We do 2 or 3 days worth of work, and people think, but I'm not getting an outcome out of that. No, you're actually getting a whole lot of certainty that you didn't have, and so if something's hard, just say to your developer, why don't I give you a day? Just get in there and have a play. You know, let's try something out, and often that can be a really good way just to resolve something.